Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways. A bunch of puppies in the desert. Yeah, they're all out here. They've been going inside that little coop right there. And it's been getting a little chilly at night, so they go in there to keep warm, I guess. I guess. And of course they do. Anyway, let's get to this. All right, so we've been on the trek about off-grid power, batteries, and that kind of stuff. So I do have a couple of questions that I've got to answer today, but also I want to put out something that I need to elaborate on a little that I mentioned once before in one of the other videos, was that I've got plenty of power for myself because I don't have women living here. And I didn't mean that in any derogatory sense of the words. What I was meaning to say is, we all know women use more products than men do. They have hair dryers, they have curling irons, they have electric toothbrushes. Me, a regular handheld toothbrush is plenty good. But they have all these different things, and then they want an electric blanket to sleep with on a cool night. There's a lot of things that they use for electricity that we don't normally use, and that's what I meant when I said we make concessions out here. If you're going to want to run all of that stuff, and you want central air conditioning in your house or cabin out here in the desert, then you're going to have to spend some money for a big system. You're going to need yourself a 10,000 watt all-in-one and a few thousand watts of solar. Probably, I would say, anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 watts of solar, and depending on how big you go. So that stuff is required. Now I want to explain why that is. All right. A lot of people don't understand this, and I know a lot of women don't understand it. But as far as electricity goes, anything that produces heat or produces cold uses a lot of electricity. All right? So don't be confused. When I say produces cold, I'm not just talking about an air conditioner. I'm talking about your refrigerator, your freezer, and produces heat. It's not always heat that you feel like an electric radiator or a space heater and that kind of stuff. A microwave oven. Anything that produces heat or cold uses the most electricity out there. Okay, that eats up, that's a electricity gobbler. That stuff just really takes you down. So if you're going to be running a lot of that stuff, and the more of that stuff you're going to run, you're going to have to get that kilowatt meter out and check each one of those items and see how much it uses. Sometimes you can just look right on the item, like you can find on a microwave oven, you'll find a sticker somewhere on the microwave oven. Might be inside the door, on the edge of the door, or behind it, or somewhere on the microwave oven. There'll be a sticker on it that says 120 volts, 17 amps, or something like that. And all you have to do is multiply the volts times the amps, and that'll tell you how many watts it's going to use. Okay, so you don't need to plug that into a kilowatt meter. And the same thing with a large central air conditioner. You can find somewhere on there, you'll find a label that tells you it's 240 volts and it's going to use 30 amps. Okay, so that's 30 times 240, and that tells you how many watts that unit's going to use. So you need to consider that. Just keep that in mind. The more electricity and the more electrical items that you're going to use in your cabin or your house or in your RV or anything like that, the more it's going to cost you, and the larger the system, a solar system you're going to need off grid. All right. So that being said, we're going to have to move along down the line here. Now, the other thing is, let's see, what was I going to say? Somebody out there knows what I was going to say. All right, I do have another question. That was, I've gone through this once before, but how to hook up the generator to charge my batteries. And I see the wire running down here, and it's unplugged there. Okay, now, the system I'm using, I could leave that plugged into the generator and start the generator up with it plugged in, because the inverter I'm using is what actually turns into a battery charger when I put AC power into it. So the way my system is, I'm using the Ames 4000 low frequency split phase 12240 system here. Okay, and this comes with connections on this end here to where this is the AC output, and you see the black, the red, and the white. Those three go into my electrical panel. Now that's 240 volts, single phase. Okay, so you can't just hook a three-phase turbine into those three wires and think it's going to work. It doesn't work that way. There's a difference between single phase and three phase. All right. So this is single phase. Now, right below it, you see the other wires right there, the green, the black, and the red. And that comes to this wire that runs over here and goes to my generator. And that's got a 240 outlet on it right here. 240 outlet, 25 amps. Okay, so this will plug in to there. Now, if you're in the dark and you're trying to figure out how it goes, just look at the ends here and feel for it. You'll see one right here that has an L-shaped bend on it. See it right there? Okay, so it's this one right here. That one will always be at the top. Okay? If it was installed properly. If somebody installed the outlet improperly, then it could be anywhere. But if it's installed properly, it'll always be the top. So in the dark, if you can't see what you're doing, you can feel for it, and you say, well, that's the one with the little L on it. So you put that one, put your thumb right above it, and then you can plug it into the system. Now, it also allows, once you get it plugged in, you see this one has a notch in it, and so does the other one on this side. Once you plug in, you can give it a little turn to the right, clockwise, and it'll lock into place so the vibration won't make it fall out. All right, so that can stay plugged in, because this Ames inverter charger, if you will actually not kick on right away. It will not go under load right away when you start up the generator. It takes a few seconds before it actually kicks in and it becomes a load to the generator. And the reason for that is you never want to start or shut down your generator under load. You always want to make sure that you unplug any load from it before you shut it down or turn it on. Now, because I can leave it plugged in to come out and start it in the dark if I have to, that's fine, because it'll take a second for that to kick on, so it won't start under load. But when I'm ready to shut it down, I have to come out and unplug it to shut down the generator. So I just do it normally. I just unplug it and then plug it in when I'm ready to start it, just so I don't say, well, I forgot, because you will ruin your generator if you start it or shut it down under load. And it'll void the warranty. Trust me. They won't do anything for you if you do that. All right, and I like this Predator 6500, which is actually only a 5500. But that means 5,500 watts. Consider this like my solar panels, okay? So when this is running, going into my inverter, I'm putting 5,500 watts of power into my solar system. So that's really a lot of power going to my system. So it allows me to run everything in the cabin while I'm charging the batteries. And when I do start it, it takes a few seconds, but then the lights on the top change and it switches over to saying shore power battery charger, and it starts charging the batteries. Now, I was asked how I connected it. Well, it's very simple, but you've got to have an inverter that doubles as a battery charger. You can't do it with just any inverter. All right? And if it does do it, it will have a place for AC input. And that's the bottom three connectors right there. 1, 2, 3. That's AC input. The top three are AC output. So that's what the inverter converts from the 12 volts I've got going into it, going out to the circuit panel. And these things are set for different voltages. So I used to have a whole 12 volt system, so that's why I bought this one. This is a 12 volt to 120/240, 240 volt AC, and it'll only handle a 12 volt system. So if I decide to rewire these things to 24 volts, I can't use this inverter. I've got to get a new inverter for 24 volts. All right, so remember that. That's an important thing that you need to consider when you're setting up your system. So I say your best bet is you're going to be off grid for a long period of time. Go with LiFePO4 batteries. Go with high amp power batteries, 240 amp hour each or 300 amp hour each, and then hook them in series, and then hook groups that are in series into parallel. That's a string. Another string of them would be down here, and you would hook those in parallel so that you're running 4 times 12 volts, 4 times 12 volts, 48 volts, 48 volts. 230 amp hours would be the whole system. You don't add 230 and 230. You're still only 230 amp hours when you're in series parallel, okay? I'm sorry. When you hook them in parallel, you'll add the 230 and 230. So you'll have 230 and 230, which is 460 amp hours with 2 sets of 4 batteries in series parallel. So now you got 460 amp hours. That's a much better amount. But I would say go to 300 or 690 amp hours by adding at least 3 groups. And you'll be able to run your air conditioner day and night on the hot summer days and that stuff without any worries whatsoever. And if you had to add a freezer for keeping some food cold, you went deer hunting and you got a bunch of deer meat you got to keep frozen, you're going to go buy a big box freezer, don't worry about it. You'll be able to plug it in if you have a system like that. The ultimate system would be what they call the 4S4P. Okay, 4S4P stands for 4 in series. So you'd have those 4 hooked up in series making 48 volts. And then 4P is 4 in parallel. So you'd have 4 sets of these 4, or 16 total batteries, hooked together in series parallel. One set series, 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 and then those all tied together in parallel, and then going to your all-in-one inverter or a very large inverter, which would be very expensive. You're better off going with an all-in-one. I did have a comment that he heard that the all-in-ones are cheap junk and all of that. No, they're not. Trust me. They're good products. If you buy from a reputable company, you want an EG4 or a SunGold Power, get yourself a good reputable company. Don't buy cheap junk on the internet. You'll be sorry. It'll go down on you the minute you need it the most. Trust me. All right. So we got that. Now, before I forget, to all my Canadian viewers. I want to wish you, tomorrow is your Canadian Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian viewers and friends. And the other thing I want to say, I've been getting a couple of reports from people, and I've noticed the fluctuation in my subscribership. It's going crazy, and so is my monetization, the money I'm earning. It's going up and down like it's impossible for me to lose $28 overnight from 10 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning. It's impossible. But I've seen it on the numbers, on the figures. So YouTube is messing around. Now, this guy is not the first one that told me that he's found himself unsubscribed numerous times to my channel and had to resubscribe. And I've called that in and reported it. Problem is, they won't listen to me. I can't do that for you. If you've been suffering those problems, you have to be... Whoa, what's that? You'll have to be the one to call it in or do feedback on YouTube. Let them know that that's happening to you. Let them know that you've been unsubscribed from G-Bear's Off-Grid Ways 4, 6, 5, 10, 12, 11, 11, 20, whatever times. Let them know. And the reason for that is, if they are pulling shenanigans, down the line, they're going to get caught. And down the line, if I've got on record that it's been happening to my channel and I've been losing income over it, then they're going to owe me a lot of years of income all the way back to the first complaint. You know what I mean? So that would be a favor to me. Of course, the only thing you're going to get out of it is the convenience of not having to recheck your subscriptions all the time. And that being said, please check your subscriptions. If you're not receiving notices from me anymore that I'm posting video, because I've been getting that, is people saying, where have you been? I haven't seen you post any videos in months. I've been posting almost daily. I miss a day here or a day, 2 days here, but not very often. So I'm posting every day. So if you're not receiving them every day, then something's wrong. Something is amiss. Check your subscriptions and check to see if you got the bell icon showing the ring marks on it. So you know that you're being notified when I have new videos. I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much, everybody. This is G-Bear, signing off.